This is The Spot, a BYU-Idaho radio production where we talk about what you're talking about. Today's hosts are Soraya Bosted, Natalie Lundquist, and Luke Davis. The views and opinions of this podcast are not that of BYU-Idaho Radio or the university and are solely the opinions of the hosts. Hi, welcome back to The Spot. I am your host, Natalie Lundquist. I'm here with my co-host,
Soraya Bosted.
And we have a wonderful guest host today. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, yeah, so I'm Luke Davis. I'm a communications major here at BYU. Sorry. And yeah, that's me, Luke Davis.
Perfect. So as you all know, Valentine's Day is just around the corner, and this day is great for couples, but it also leads to a lot of first dates for singles. So today we kind of want to talk about not only our ideal first date ideas, but kind of go into the worst topics to bring up on a date. So ideal first date ideas. What are your guys' ideal first dates?
I know I personally am very simple. Also, I grew up in a small town, so that probably affects it. I just love driving around and getting fast food.
Honestly, fair.
It can be friends, it can be a date, I don't care. But I love it so much. Again, might be because I grew up in a small town and we didn't have anything else around to do. So that might impact my love for it, but yeah.
That's fair. I mean, I grew up in Vegas and I love doing that.
Yeah, exactly. So it's fun.
It is fun.
I think that's the universal love language right there. Fast food and driving. No, I feel the same way where it's I think on a first date, it's best to keep it simple. That way, if it's not going well, you can bail if you have to. There's this is fun and have it be 30 minutes. Or if it's just if you're having fun, you guys can come up with more things to do on the spot. So normally I love to do get hot chocolate or get ice cream and something where you can sit down, have a conversation, just feel each other out, if that makes sense. And then just see if there's anything there. And then if so, you guys can plan more dates, do something more elaborate. But I think on the first day, I just to keep it simple.
I agree. I feel like so many people kind of go over the top with first dates, which is okay, because then the person will be more into you, whatever, but then you kind of screw yourself over because then you have to top it every date, and it's just keep it simple, get to know the person.
Yeah,
food is always good. And in Rexburg, there's a lot of fast food places to go, so that's always a good idea for first dates. I feel like a lot of people too will they'll go get food and then watch Netflix or Disney Plus or something.
And I think it's better to watch Netflix or Disney Plus than go out, because you said, what if you need to bail? What if you're just this isn't it? That way you don't have to worry about getting up in the middle of a movie or disturbing someone else. You can just it's a safe date.
Definitely. Or also if you're at an event with a lot of people, that's also safe, because then you can you can dip easier with a lot of people there. But not that we want you guys to dip on your dates. Please give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay. So worst topics to bring up on a date. I feel like there are a lot of these, and people are not very good at not using them on their dates, hence why there's a lot of single people at this school. But
ouch.
sorry
It's
Luke.
okay, me too.
Yeah.
Sorry, Luke. Not necessarily that being the reason that you're single, but some people, it's either bringing up bad topics or saying something offensive or ghosting. That's the main reasons why people are single at this school. I don't know, what are I know I have a list of some things, but what are some things that you guys can think of for either worst topics or just things you don't want to say on a date in general?
This one's hard because I think everyone's different, and so something you might say to one person will be really funny or fine would be really offensive back to someone. And so I guess if we're going back to the first date scenario, on a first date you kind of have to just kind of see who each other are and kind of see if you guys jive, because I don't know, maybe you have very different political spectrums, maybe you have very different, religious beliefs. Obviously we're all at BYU-Idaho, but there's so many things that people come from so many different backgrounds that on a first date, you don't want to bring up like this, like, so how do you feel on this really controversial topic? You know, it's like,
Right.
that's something that like obviously you're gonna have to talk about, but like later on. But
Later
not
on
yeah,
in
not
the
on
line, yeah.
You don't need to have that
Yeah.
philosophical discussion
Exactly.
on the first
Yeah.
date.
It's more just like you don't want to be boring on a first date, but you don't need to like go over as like all the very controversial things that like.
Well,
try and
because
believe, yeah.
if you think of it like if you just meet someone like a friend for the first time, you're not going to bring up the most controversial topics like your first
Right.
conversation. Why would you do it on the first date?
Right.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. I feel like most of the ones I came up with, they're all things like that, like important things you'd want to bring up later on. And unfortunately, they're all things that people have brought up on first dates to me, which is like uncomfortable. The biggest one I feel like is talking about yourself just incessantly to the point where you can't get to know the other person. Like, that is so annoying. You seem like there's a story behind that, Soraya.
There's a lot of people that like will just talk and talk and talk, and you ask them questions because you don't want to be rude, and then like halfway through the conversation you're like, you haven't asked a single question, like a single question.
Yep. That happens way too often. Oh my gosh. The next biggest one is ex relationships.
Yeah, that's not a first date topic.
It's not a first date topic.
It's really uncomfortable, actually.
It's so uncomfortable.
I don't know how that gets brought up on a first date. That'd be.
Oh, so many people do it. Like, I feel like a lot of people like will bring it up by making comparisons. Will be like, "Oh, you do that? My ex-girlfriend used to do that."
And then you're like,
It's like, okay,
okay.
did I ask?
Yeah.
I don't know.
The bringing up ex ones, it not only that, I just feel like it's rude
It is
to bring up your ex relationship on the first date with a new person. You know?
Well, I feel like it's rude to bring up on a date setting in general. Like, if you're getting serious with someone, you want to, like, sit down and have that conversation, that's fine. But if you're, like, going out, if I'm going out on a date with my significant other and we're, like, at, whether it's a fast food restaurant or, like, a nice place or whatever, but it's supposed to be, like, us, and they, like, start talking about their exes, I'm like, okay, but that's not what tonight's about.
Yeah.
So let's not.
Yeah. It feels a little.
Yeah.
Makes it seem like they're still on their mind, which isn't good.
Definitely. And then a big one is finances.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big one. Because finances are already a hard topic in relationships. But then, like, I feel like on first dates, too, there's always that that issue of who's going to pay. And then I feel like a lot of girls expect the guy to pay. But it's like, I know I'm the type of person, I bring my wallet with me everywhere I go. And I'll at least, like, reach for my wallet. And then if they're like, oh, no, I got you, then I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But if they don't, then I'm like, okay, I'll pay for myself. Whereas, like, guys kind of, they either find it rude if the girl doesn't reach, or then they get mad if she does. And then girls, like, expect guys to pay.
Yeah.
And then it's just, like, constantly talking about that.
Well, there was a thing that I saw that, like, I honestly really like. The person who asked the other person out should pay.
I was gonna
I
say
get
that.
that.
Or
Yeah.
offer to pay. Because you're the one that asked them
No,
to
definitely.
come out and spend money. So you should be willing to pay for that person. Obviously, because we are girls and we were raised, like, the gentleman pays. Like, obviously, it is in my subconscious, but also, like, I'm not past paying. Like, I'll pay for myself, but, like, I was just grew up in, like, a culture where, like, the men paid.
Right. No,
So
definitely.
you, like, it's, like, weird mentality to get rid. And then the guys were raised in a culture where, like, the guys pay, you know?
I always just expect to pay. Unless, like you said, unless they ask me out, and then maybe I'll have that conversation, like, with them. But, like, if I ask them out, I just, like, go ahead and...
Right. Yeah, exactly. And then also the finances, just talking about how much money you make in general. Guys
That's, like,
do
a
that all the
huge
time.
red flag.
Huge red
Huge
flag.
red flag. It's so gross because
It's so bad.
if you make a decent amount of money, you're not gonna bring it up. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you did something to make a decent amount of money for, like, just a couple months, You bring it up relentlessly, and you're like, what are you doing for work now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
True.
But no, it's, ugh.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Luke?
I don't remember. I think I was going to say is, it's like, I feel like for me, I don't make a lot of money out here. Like, I'll bring up, like, past jobs, just, like, to have a conversation, but I don't think I've ever brought up, like, oh, I made X amount of money and X amount. Because, I mean, I don't have much to be proud of financially, but, like, it's fun to bring up X jobs because, like, I don't know, there's so many weird stories you get from.
That's true.
Yeah, and I bring up my old
sure.
jobs all the time.
Yeah, no, I feel like there's a huge difference between bringing up your old jobs and then bringing up how much money you made at said job.
Unless it's funny, like, I like to bring up that I made minimum wage when I was in high school and, like, how terrible that was. Like, that, I think that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But, like, that's not something, like, me bragging about how much money I have now. Or
right. No, exactly. Definitely. And then another one I had was insecurities. Because obviously everyone has them. They happen. But bringing them up on a date, one of my teachers actually said something that kind of fits in with this. He was talking about, like, when you're giving a presentation or, like, a talk in church or whatever, don't say, like, oh, I didn't get a lot of time to prepare or whatever, because, like, we're going to know if you didn't prepare or not. Mm-hmm. Whereas, like, if you're on a date and you're like, oh, I'm so sorry, like, I didn't have a lot of time to get ready, or, like, I'm sorry that I don't look as good, or whatever it is. Like, that just is not a good look.
Yeah.
I'm like,
nah.
That's where the whole pick me girl, pick me boy thing comes in. And
oh my gosh, it's so bad.
It's so bad. Oh my goodness. The amount of guys that I've been on dates with who are like, I feel so ugly, and I'm so sorry that I'm so ugly. Do you think I'm ugly? Yes. If you're going to ask me that question, I'm going to say yes, because... like,
well, is this a conversation that you would have in a normal setting?
Right.
No? Okay, why are we having it on a date when we're supposed to be having fun?
They're fishing.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, literally. And then marriage and kids.
Oh my gosh. Please don't bring those up on the first date.
Please don't.
I mean this with everything in me. Please don't bring those up on a first date. Like, yes, I understand that, like, the church's subculture is, like, marrying quickly. Please don't bring it up on the first date. Because you can be on two different walks of life, and it can make the other person very, very uncomfortable.
Yes. That's why it's like the first date, it's very safe. Like, the conversations are usually pretty safe. Like, I don't know, it's like, you kind of just see if you like to be in their presence almost. Because, like, bringing up stuff like that is just going to, like, make everything awkward. It's just going to, like, make things just a lot worse than they have to be. And so it's just, like, kind of keep it safe, you know, like figure out each other's humor. It's like, but don't bring up this, like, topics like that, because it's just going to sink the Titanic really, really fast.
Definitely. Yeah. It's obviously we go to BYU-I. And people call it BYU-Idaho, and it is a huge stigma here just with marriage and kids and stuff. And I don't know, it actually makes me sad, like, how much of an emphasis people put on it. Like, you're at college to get an education, not to get married and have kids right away. Like, if that's what you want to do, that's okay. Like, but please don't bring it up on a first date.
Yeah. And, like, you shouldn't. You're here to spend money to go to school.
Yeah.
Why would you waste time?
Yeah.
If, like, you don't want to go to school and you just want to get married, you know?
Yep, exactly.
Like, obviously you do you.
Right.
But
you do you, but don't be creepy about it.
Dude.
I've had people propose on a first date. Multiple times, actually. 2 of them had a ring. I
want to hear the stories. It sounds pretty interesting.
Why did they have a ring?
I honestly don't know why they had a ring. All I know is 2 of them had a ring, and I got out of there very, very quickly. The other, I think there was like 2 or 3 other ones that, like, I couldn't tell if they were joking or not, and I kind of just laughed it off, and then I realized they were being completely serious. And I'm like, I actually have to go home. My roommate needs me.
Yeah.
It was not a fun experience. I don't know. Have you ever had any situations like that?
No.
No?
Well, I just don't know how your brain can jump, like, on the first date, like, from, oh, your name is this name? Cool. Let's get married in, like, 3 months. And it's like, bro. Bro.
Yeah, the fact that a few of them were blind dates too. They had never met me. They didn't know who I was. I went out with them because they were a friend of my friend. And they're like, hey, we should get married. And I'm like, hey, no, I'm 18. Let's not.
Again, cannot emphasize this enough. Don't do that.
Yes, please don't. It just makes everyone uncomfortable. It makes you uncomfortable when they say no. It makes the person uncomfortable that they just got proposed to. It makes everyone else in the building uncomfortable. Like,
oh my gosh.
Just don't. Just don't.
It's a little cringe, yes.
It's very cringe. Okay, this is a big one that I feel like is hard for a lot of people because they just want to, like, get past the conversation, past trauma.
If anyone's asking me about my past trauma on a first date, I'm walking out. I'm sorry. Like, I don't even tell, like, some close friends that stuff until years in.
Literally, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, I feel like some people just get so uncomfortable with the topic that they just want to get the conversation over with. And they're just like, so yeah, when I was 12, this happened, and then this happened, and I'm very traumatized from it. No, don't do that. Please.
Yeah. I just feel like there needs to be, like, a level of trust before conversations like that can be brought up. And so
yeah.
It's just, like, you just got to kind of build that relationship before, like, you can, go through that with them.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Yeah. It's such a big part of people that I'm like, that's something that you shouldn't be sharing with anyone besides the people you really, really trust and a therapist if you have one.
And even if you are open to share your past traumas, the other person might not be in a place where they can receive or hear about them.
Yep.
And, like, it's rude of you to just instantly assume that they're, like, willing to hear and, like, be a shoulder for you. Like, that's a conversation you need to have, like, not a while in dating, because, like, you do need to know what you're getting into if you're, like, in a relationship. But, like, that needs to happen not on the first date.
But, like, once you go on a few dates, you're like, yeah, I really like this person. I can see it going somewhere. Then, talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But, oh, my gosh. And then I think another big one is gossip. Like, gossiping about, like, coworkers and friends and stuff. I feel like people end up getting a lot into those conversations, especially on first dates, because then they feel like if there's, like, an awkward silence and they feel uncomfortable, they'll be like, oh my gosh, guess what my coworker did today or whatever. And I'm like, just don't. Like, why?
Yeah.
There's no point in that.
The story's not the same if you don't know the other person, and usually the person you're on a date with does not know these people, so
Yeah.
it's just not entertaining for them.
And they just don't care.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I don't know. That's a big one. That's all I have on my list. But, like, I don't know. Have you guys ever had dates that they just, like, said something that, I don't know, maybe they shouldn't have, and it just made everything awkward or something? Or any, like, bad date stories in general or whatever?
I don't have any bad date stories, but I do have, like, another one to add to the list.
Mm-hmm.
And because this is a big thing, because, like, most of us going up here are members of the church.
Right.
I feel like you need to be sensitive when talking about religion on the first date, because you don't know where someone is on their testimony journey.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't just automatically assume that they're, like, 100% ready to take their endowments out or 100% ready to, like, go through the temple. You know what I mean? Like, you need to be, like, gentle, because like I've met so many people that are on like a different journey, like religiously, like a different path, and you just have to be like gentle. And it's like it is a sensitive topic, and I don't think people think about that because they just assume since we're all members that we're all willing to like address everything right then and there.
Yeah, no, I agree. What about you, Luke? You have anything to add?
Not really. I just like, for me, it's like on a first date, I'm there to have a good conversation. I've never had like a bad date per se, but I've had dates where I was like, oh, I wish they would have talked more. I wish they would have asked me more questions. So it's just like I'm just there to like to see if like I jive with these people, and so it's like don't just like. I wouldn't do anything too extravagant or anything too crazy on first date, just to see if like you like being in each other's presence.
Yeah, definitely. Oh no, I think with my dating life is very...
You've had some stories, girl.
I don't know, I feel like mine's very tame. So
mine's very tame.
Fine by me.
Yeah, I wish mine was more tame.
Yeah, girl, you have some stories.
I don't know, the one that comes to mind though with like things that just should not be said is I remember there was this one date, don't remember his name, don't remember when this happened, it was a few years ago at least. He comes to my apartment, picks me up, but it was like middle of winter. He didn't have a car, so we walked to Soda Vine, and he was being like really quiet the entire time. Like he did not say a word on that entire walk to Soda Vine. That's like a 10-15 minute walk. It's a good length. We get there, we get our drinks, we sit down. He starts talking about like movies or something. And I remember at one point I like made a joke or something, and he like just sat there, and I'm like, oh, that was a joke. And he just looks me dead in the face and goes, that wasn't funny. And I'm like, oh, I thought it was pretty funny, but okay. And so I'm like, okay. So we finish our drinks, we walk back, again, silence the entire walk, get to my door. Most people like give you a hug after a date or whatever. We get to my door, he goes, bye, and then walks away. And I'm like, okay,
bye.
That happened.
Jeez.
That was a very interesting date I went on. Please don't do that to anyone, please. It was very uncomfortable. And I remember I just walked inside and I just stood there for a second, trying to like wrap my head around what just happened. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, I guess.
Yeah.
That works, but he did not get a second date, in case anyone was wondering.
Good? I would hope not.
Actually, I think he blocked me. Not gonna lie. If I'm remembering right, I think he blocked me.
He really didn't like that joke.
Oh, apparently. I don't remember what it was. I honestly think it was probably like a diss at Batman or something, because that sounds like a joke I would make when talking about movies. So apparently that just offended him extremely. It was like, how dare you diss Batman?
I also love Batman, so maybe I would have got offended too. I don't know.
Would you have blocked me though, Luke?
I don't know. It depends how much you like offended Batman. I'm a pretty big Batman fan.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I guess to each its own. I mean, my boyfriend's a big Batman fan, but I diss Batman all the time to him. He hasn't blocked me yet.
It's a relationship of give and take. You diss him and he just takes it.
It's okay. He disses me too. It's fine. Luke, do you have anything else to add?
No. Just have fun while you're dating. Don't make it too don't overthink it. Just try to meet new people, I guess.
Oh my gosh, and this is another. You don't need to marry the first person you date. Like, please. You can date multiple people. Like, it's
okay.
It's fine. It's allowed. It's encouraged even. Please date multiple people, unless you find that person and you really feel like you found that person. Please go out there.
Please date around. Like, you don't know what you're missing if you don't. Like, Yeah, that's a big problem a lot of people have here.
Like, he said, have fun while dating, and I was like, oh my gosh, and please date. Like, don't just dive right into
actually
marriage.
Date. Go on multiple first dates. Go on group dates. Go on group hangouts, and you might meet someone.
It's fun.
It's fun. Like, go have fun.
Relationships will form like kind of naturally if like you both like each other. And so it's just like the main thing is meeting new people and just like, I don't know, seeing what's out there, I guess.
Yes, definitely 100%. So yeah, that's all we have for you guys. Keep these tips in mind this Valentine's Day, whether you're spending it with your significant other or maybe meeting someone new. And this week's positive quote is by Dan Millman, and it says, "You don't have to control your thoughts, you just have to stop letting them control you." So keep that in mind this week, and we hope you guys have a wonderful and fun and safe Valentine's Day, and we hope to see you next time. Have a great day, you guys.
Bye.
See ya.
You've been listening to The Spot, a production of BYU-Idaho Radio. Today's hosts were Soraya Bosted, Natalie Lundquist, and Luke Davis. The views and opinions of this podcast are not that of BYU-Idaho Radio and the university and are solely the opinions of the hosts. This episode was edited by Natalie Lundquist. Producers were the hosts with supervision by Brandon Isle. Our theme music is Finding Happiness by DJ Quads and The Perpetual Ticking of Time by Artificial Music. To listen to more episodes of The Spot, like and follow us on social media or visit our website, byui.edu/radio, and click podcasts. Be sure to subscribe to the BYU-Idaho Radio podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, or wherever you get your podcasts. And also leave a review of the show and leave a comment on what we should talk about next.